Berochim Abayim, and welcome to Torah Talks Chazaq Tuesday night program with special guests. We have with us Rabbi Moshe Kestenbaum. Shalom Aleichem, Rav. How you doing?
Aleichem Shalom. Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's great to have the Rabbi. Our pleasure. And we're going to be speaking about working on our character traits, our midot. And I know that the Rabbi has a sefer books, Olam Hamidos. And before we jump to tonight's topic, if we could have the Rabbi give a little bit of background about yourself and the great work you're involved with.
Background. So I was born in Canada, so I'm a Canadian citizen.
Good to know.
That's why I did not run for president. Yeah. You were wondering. And I lived out of town first 13 years of my life. And then I lived in Rockaway. I learned in Yeshiva Rockaway. I credit all the Musar teachings from my Rebbe, Rabbi Per Shlita, Rashiva, Yeshiva Rockaway.
Just for the record, Rockaway is Queens, where Chazaq is based. Chazaq with a Q strengthening Queens, based in Queens, expanding all over the world. Rockaway likes to say they're part of 5 towns, but they're
actually my in-laws live in Queens, so
yes,
okay.
Yes, they do.
So I learned in Yeshiva Rockaway for 7 years. I was in the Mir, and afterwards I got married. I ended up moving to Waterbury. We starting the yeshiva there from the first members of the Kailo. So I still live in Waterbury. I taught in Waterbury the yeshiva for many years. Currently, I am running yeshiva in Passaic/Newark called Or Yitzchak, based Medrash program.
Beautiful, amazing, Rabbi. So, like was mentioned, the topic is working on our character traits. Why should someone bother working on their character traits? Like, well, why is that even Indian? If one might ask.
Okay, so let's give 2 reasons. Number one is, I would say without exaggeration, I was thinking about it the other day. As I get older, I see more and more. Number one, I would say it's just simply pikuach. It's literally pikuach nefesh. You could say something. You could say something to your wife, to your husband, to your child. You could really say things that could destroy them, destroy relationships. I mean, the harm that a person brings upon himself and other people with bad character traits, without control of anger. It's a very practical thing. If you don't work on your midos, terrible things can come out. Raising our children today is very challenging. If you don't have good midos, you don't stay calm when your child is difficult. You're not able to embrace him when he's challenging. He's not doing everything you want. These things are literally not exaggerating pikuach nefesh. Working on our midos. That's the very practical in a nutshell. And besides that, it's a Torah obligation. The Vilna Gaon says that the purpose of a person's life is to correct, to break any bad midah that he has not yet broken. The Vilna Gaon says that's a purpose of your life. And Reb Chaim Vital says that a person is going to be judged in Shemayim on his midos by, first of all, you see he's judged on his midos, but he's judged on his midos by how he treats his spouse.
Wow. And
this is another important conversation, but people think midos, be nice to other people outside the house, but the primary focus a person needs to take is on his family in the house. Nobody sees. So number one, practically speaking, it's literally pikuach nefesh. I mean, could talk about that for a long time. And then there's an obligation between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem is going to judge us on our character traits.
Wow. So there's a saying, chesed starts at home. So we should also add that midos also start at home, I guess.
Yeah, 100,000%.
Okay. So what would the rabbi say is a starting point for one to work on his or her midos, character traits?
It's a great question. I could only share with you where my starting point was. My Rebbe's, if I would have to say, at least for me, the main lesson that I learned from his Musar Vadim, his Musar talks, was being very self-aware, being very aware of what's going on within ourselves. So I would say the starting point is really noticing what's going on. So many people are angry, jealous, upset, and they don't even recognize it. They don't even understand this is why I'm doing this. They're just not in touch with themselves. The starting point is being aware. Once you're aware, hopefully, you'll be motivated and you'll want to correct it. So if I'm getting angry, let me first be aware that I'm being angry, I'm jealous, let me be aware. The next step would be finding ways to work on that. But the first step is just being aware, and also I would say making it a priority. Many people, it's not on their mind. Oh, I'm angry now. That's not a good thing. I got to try to calm myself down. I'm angry now, so it's that person's fault I'm angry. They're not, reflecting on themselves.
So the rabbi is saying to be an observant Jew, to be observant, to realize and to understand what the issues and the problems are. Many people might not even realize that they have, anger issues or jealousy issues. The first step is to realize and to pay attention.
Being aware, and then taking responsibility for them.
So a person starts realizing that he has issues and problems with his midos, his character traits, A, B, C, D. Do you work on one midah at a time, or he could do multiple at a time? What does the Rav say?
So it's a great question. I've been asked this before. For me personally, it was not a process of I'm going to work on this midah now for this week and work on this midah the next week. There is such an approach. It's just not the approach that I happen to take. So for me, and again, I'm still in the process and have a lot to fix, but for me, it was just, like I mentioned before, a general idea of being aware and also kind of like taking it as it came. So if that day or that moment I was jealous, I would try to think about it. Why am I jealous and what can I do to make myself become less jealous? So as things come up, I would try to pay attention to them and try to see how I could navigate through them. So, that's the approach that worked for me. But if somebody, wants to work on a specific midah, that also works. And if a person learns musar, so a person's learning about the topic of anger, so then it's going to be a focus for that week or that month or those 2 months or 3 months they're learning about anger. They probably will end up working more on that midah based on whatever they're learning about. But I think a person should just keep their eyes open for all the midos, as they're living their lives.
Amazing. So is there such a thing as a process of mastering a certain midah, a certain character trait, and to be, in control of it, or being, the king or having that crown of a certain midah? Is there such a concept, Rabbi? Is there a process?
They quote from Rabbi Moshe that it's harder to acquire one midah. It's harder than finishing Shas. But I don't know if there's one midah for myself that I could say I have acquired. I never get angry. I never get jealous. I can't say that for myself. So I can't tell you how to master one midah. I can only tell you how to make dents and improvements in those midos. And so a person just constantly thinking about it, working on it, and maybe sometimes asking other people for help if they have a challenge. Over time, the person it does get easier. The person does become used to staying calm, used to, closing their mouth, whatever it may be. It definitely gets easier, but to completely master it or any scientific plan, I personally do not have any scientific plan. There are svarim, I think, like Rav Ben Ali Shor, he has like steps, do this for this week or do this, do that. For me, it wasn't like that, and I don't have the approach like that. For me, it's just more of a general attitude and process.
Right. So we mentioned in the beginning that the rabbi is an author of Sfarim, and Olam Hamidos was in Hebrew, and now Baruch Hashem it's translated into English as well from Art Scroll. What made the Rav work on these Sfarim? How did it come about? Was it a suggestion? Was it something the rabbi wanted to do as a young child? If you could elaborate a little bit for us.
So with Olam Hamidos, really Baruch Hashem, I didn't know I was going to write the Sefer at the time that I was, working on the Midos and really working, on myself. I just, from the time I was 18 or so, learning from my Rebbe, I started to be very aware and started, working on midos. When I was, 28 or so, 29. Well, before that, I was teaching Orchos Tzadikim. I would teach, Musar Vadim, Musar classes to Beis Medrash boys in Waterbury and in the Beis Medrash there. And then someone asked me, a married person asked me if I would give a weekly class in Midos. It was actually the first time that I wasn't just learning a text with a group of boys, but I was actually had to prepare like a class on anger, a class on jealousy. So he asked me if I give a weekly class, a weekly speech, and I started writing notes in preparing for these classes, for these lectures. And when I started writing them down, I just started writing and writing and writing. And it's like 10 years worth of material, Baruch Hashem, basically just came out onto the paper. I don't even think I even gave classes I probably only gave a few classes and wrote much more than I ended up actually teaching in the classes. So, that's a big bracha. I would say a big bracha is I didn't know I'd write a sefer. When you work on something for the purpose of writing it down, it's not the same as when you're actually doing it for real, for yourself. And then I'm just sharing with people my experiences. It's a little embarrassing. I shouldn't say this in public. It's not being recorded, right? No one's watching this, but just the two of us. No one's going to listen anyway. But all those flaws in the sefer are I own them. I only know about them because I experienced them. Wow. And maybe that's why Baruch Hashem the sefer has been matzliach, because it was Yotz Dvar Mayotz Min Alev. It came from words that came from the heart. It was from my own experiences, and I was sharing what helped me and shared them with other people. The other Svarim are a little different stories. I don't know if it's worthwhile going into, but
So Rabbi, if you could just tell us about the other Svarim, the topics or the names of them, and also if you could also take a snippet or what chiddush or what insight or one daf or what page or story or chapter sticks out the most. I know that's a hard question, because like asking which one of your children are your favorite, in a sense that I know how much time and effort and kochot, the energies go into putting it together in a sefer. If one insight comes into mind that the rabbi thinks is kedai to share to the olam, or one midah that sticks out of all the midas, all the character traits out there.
You want one from each sefer? Or you want one from all? Okay, so I'll just quickly go through the svarim and then I'll figure out where to go next. But so Olam Midos is obviously working on our character traits. Olam, I wrote another sefer in Hebrew, also translated into English with Art Scroll. Actually, this one I actually translated myself. The first one, Mrs. Heimwoods translated. The second, Olam Avoda, I translated, and then she edited it. Olam Avoda talks about our relationship to Hashem. So it's Ben Adam Lamakom between us and Hashem.
And it was in the office. I got a copy, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Explains how the purpose of Torah mitzvahs is to develop a relationship to Hashem, and how the different areas of Torah mitzvahs bring us closer to Hashem. And then I wrote 2 English svarim or books. Okay, one of them is called "Run After the Right Kavod."
Interesting.
Yeah, it may be my favorite in some ways. It's I like it a lot. It hasn't got out as much.
I'm guessing Kinnis Sofrim, like spiritual honor. Is that
so? "Run After the Right Kavod" is the entire book. Is about the topic of kavod, of respect. So there are different sections. There is how to develop the importance of self-respect and how to develop self-respect. There's a topic of respect for others. We're holding now in the days of Sfira, the Talmidim, students of Akiva, were punished because they didn't treat each other with enough kavod, enough respect. So it's it's a whole sefer on the topic. I mean, Baruch Hashem, a lot of people have gained a lot from it, but it's not as well known. Recently, Israel Bookshop did republish it, so if anyone wants it, but it's called Run After the Right Kavod. It's about giving respect to others, respect to your spouse, respect to your parents, to your children, other people. So the whole book about the topic of respect, and the fourth one is called The Heart of Parenting. Also less known. It's a small but powerful book on parenting.
Nice. And these books are available in all local Jewish bookstores.
That I don't know, but they're all at least online. But
okay, amazing. Rabbi Moshe Don Kestenbaum, very, very inspiring, amazing messages and gems. Going back to what we said before we asked for the final message is Rabbi went through the books, but one of all those books, there will be one insight, one parable, one idea that comes to mind. Maybe that could also be the final message, also the final takeaway, or your call, Rabbi.
I mean, there's so many things. I touched upon the Reb Chaim Vital. The Reb Chaim Vital says a person's judged by how they treat their spouse. For those that are not married, I think we could apply the same lessons to how we treat our parents, our siblings, because the message of Reb Chaim Vital is that midos is not just about putting on a nice show, that everyone should think we're so nice. Midos is really something that is going on within ourselves, and what we're doing l'shem shamayim, what we're doing for God. So how we act with our family, I think one message I'd like to leave everyone with is, work really hard on how you treat the people closest to you. And if you have a choice between, if two people's needs, your family and people outside, many times people run outside because they'll get more kavod, they'll get more honor when they go and do chesed, do kindness outside the house, but your priority has to be to your family, and that's really where your midos are going to be measured. That's one important message. Another important message, since we're in the days of Sfira, that I wrote a whole book on the topic of kavod, of respect, because I think it is so critical to every relationship. A person needs kavod for himself to be able to succeed, to have the confidence, right? To have the confidence to do what you're doing. But every person, in order to accomplish, needs to have a respect for themselves, value themselves, believe in themselves. And you give that to other people, you're literally giving them life. The Maral says that the reason why the students of Rekiva died, he says, is because when you give honor to someone else, you're giving them chiyus, you're giving them life. So because they didn't give each other life, their lives were taken away from them. So if we could walk out of here, any person you see on the street and you say hello, how you're doing, and of course your family, you just give them a compliment, a kind word, show somebody you care about them. Someone's talking to you, to give them some time. The chesed, the kindness that you could do by just giving someone a little bit of respect, value, and it's not just a show. It also means a person has to work on themselves to respect other people, recognize every Jew is a prince, every Jew is a princess, is a child of Hashem, a child of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Imagine the Gadol Hador, the greatest person's son is in the room, even if they're not the greatest person, but look who their father is. Every person's father is Hashem. So having that respect for every Jew, and a non-Jew also is created in the image of God. The way we treat the non-Jewish people around us, we have to give people respect and honor. We're giving them life, and we're doing kindness. It doesn't cost any money, and a person could give out thousands and thousands of acts of kindness just by the way they interact, with other people.
Amazing, Rabbi Moshe Don Kestenbaum. What a powerful message about honoring others, and that chiddush of the Maharal. Wow, beautiful, of Rabbi Akiva's students now respecting one another. And when you give cover to another, you give him life. So in essence, they passed away. So a very, very timely message by the Rabbi Chazaq. Thank you very much for all that you do for the Jewish people, the amazing Sfarim, the amazing Shiurim, the Yeshiva.
Thank you, Chazaq's amazing organization.
Baruch Hashem Yishikach to the Rabbi. And we want to remind the audience every single Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Chazaq Torah Talks with special guest Baruch Hashem, this was an amazing episode as usual. Baruch Hashem, Chazdi Hashem, thank you Hashem. We want to thank all the platforms that are hosting the podcast. A special thank you to Torah Anytime. And daily giving, $1 a day goes a very, very far way. I encourage everyone to check it out. We want to remind everyone the work of Chazaq, Baruch Hashem, aside from the Shirim and the Torah talks and the base marriage and the Kol and all the other great work that we do. The focus is to help inspire, guide, and change the lives of the thousands of Jewish kids that unfortunately do not have a Jewish education and go to the public school systems. Baruch Hashem, we have thousands of kids coming to after school programs, Sunday school programs, Teens Division programs, and the amazing successful Yeshiva Placement Division that over the years, Baruch Hashem, the last few years alone, Baruch Hashem, 1,500 Nishamos, Baruch Hashem, from public schools to Yeshiva, Kanainar, Baruch Hashem, Ken Yirbu. And if you have a family member, a friend, or neighbor right now, this is prime time before the September school year. Reach out to Chazaq with the Q, and Bezachim will take care of the scenario from A to Z with Hashem's help. And once again, thank you very much, Rabbi Kestenbaum, and Yagdil Torah.